by your invitation to share this very special day with you, joined by your parents, teachers, relatives, and your friends. I am delighted that as your commencement speaker, I can speak to the magnitude of this moment and the significance it bears for your family, but also for the larger family of this nation. I heard of a story of a humorist that faced with the task of delivering a memorable commencement speech. Art Buchwald, a famous humorist from the United States, stood up. He told the graduating class, and I quote, "Remember, we are leaving you a perfect world. Don't screw it up," close quote. And then he bade them goodbye, and it is, according to all our records, the shortest commencement speech that there ever was. I was a little tempted to follow in his footsteps and also deliver a very short commencement speech, because I know that you, especially the students and their parents, are waiting to celebrate this very important day. But this is too important a day. It is too important event to do that. And that is why I welcome this rare but fresh opportunity to share my thoughts with you and your families, the school officials who have mentored you on this very special occasion. My dear graduates, it is often said that graduation is one of the few authentic rites of passage left in our society. As a rite of passage, it is claimed that it marks a person's transition from one status to another. It looks in two directions. One is retrospective, looking back to the past. The other is prospective, looking forward for the future. Today, you are graduating from college, which represents the end of your formal education, but this ceremony also is called a commencement, or to begin, the beginning of something which could point to the new phase you are entering in your life. As in other milestones in your lives, it is fitting that your parents are here today to witness and to celebrate this rite of passage. I know that I speak for every parent today, for I too am a parent. That this is like the very day when you first came into this world. For us, that day when you were born was the greatest event in our lives as parents. A wonderful act from on high, but even more, we consider it a blessing and the fulfillment of many prayers. Indeed, something for all of us to be supremely thankful for, likewise to be proud of. Graduates of 2013, your completion of your college studies is similarly gratifying and fulfilling because for many long years, you have studied and labored hard to complete your course requirements. You have sometimes endured the terror of dealing with difficult and demanding professors. You also have been touched by the compassion and concern of those that have become your teachers and mentors. Of all the things that you have learned from your parents and your teachers, let us hope that you have learned this, that values count as much as the core knowledge of the courses that you have taken. I emphasize this point because deeply held values are the only true foundation that we can build our lives on as individuals and as citizens in the wider and higher plane of our nation. If you will permit me to share with you some of the lessons that I have learned from my grandmother, who was a teacher, and from my parents, and the training I received from my mentors here and in all the schools that I attended. What is most important is that one should never forget the value of hard work and the importance of effort. As one great writer said, perhaps the most valuable result of all education is the ability to make yourself do the things that you have to do when it ought to be done, whether you like it or not. It is the first lesson that we must learn, and however early a man's training begins, it is probably also the last lesson that they will thoroughly learn. A diamond can be described as simply as a piece of charcoal that stayed on the job until it reached its precious state. Ultimately, those who can stay on the job are the people who will become our leaders and the diamonds of our society. Former U.S. President Calvin Coolidge did not exaggerate when he wrote, "Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not take its place. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men and women with talent. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. The world is full of so-called educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. The slogan, 'Press On,' has been recognized to have solved and always will solve much of the problems of the human race." Perhaps the most telling illustration of this is that Madame Curie and the discovery of radio, as I'm sure you have studied. After the failure of their 487th experiment in their research for radio, her husband Pierre Curie cried out in despair, "It cannot be done! It cannot be done! Maybe in 100 years it can be done, but never in our lifetime." Madame Curie looked at him and answered calmly and simply, "If it takes 100 years, it would be a pity. But I dare not do less than work for it as long as I am alive." In their next few experiments, they found success and radio was discovered. Talking of perseverance, even the situation that we are seeing happening now with the Sultanate of Sulu in Sabah, Sultan Kiram and his people have been doing what they have been doing in this past few weeks is also a lesson in persistence for us. The Sultanate of Sulu and its people have been pressing their claim to Sabah for over 100 years now. Someday, somehow, their persistent efforts will bear fruit, and we dare not do less than work for it as long as we are alive. Recently, I was encouraged to read in the news that some 10 Filipinos are now on the Forbes magazine's annual list of billionaires. The list is noteworthy because nearly everyone, particularly the top-notchers who are our taipans, earn their billions through patient toil, ingenious investment, and continuous build-up of their enterprises steadily throughout the years. These billionaire compatriots are all worthy of emulation and admiration by all of us. But at the same time, as we are awed and dazzled by the numbers and the billions that they speak about, we must note the corollary lesson that their experience teaches us. Earning and making money is not all there is to life. When I was studying for my master's, I was struck and moved by something that the great management teacher Roosevelt Moth Cantor wrote in the Harvard Business Review. She said, "Money should never be separated from its mission. Money is an instrument, not an end. Detached from its values, the desire for money may indeed be the root of all evil. As we are always reminded, but linked effectively to social purpose, it can be used to be the root of opportunity that could branch out into more abundant fruits and more opportunities, not only for yourselves, but for your countrymen and for your community." I am certain, as well as hopeful, that in their own respective ways, each of our Filipino billionaires is linking their wealth to a useful and social purpose. They are providing employment with their business activities. They are giving services. They are helping charities. And this is, again, an example that we must all seek to emulate. Today, we are seeing many, many more Filipinos succeeding in the world. It is not just the huge sums that they are earning that compel our admiration. It is the way that they are succeeding through sheer talent and skill. Not to mention perseverance, hard work again, and thus raising the image of our people in the international scene. Our favorite champion, Manny Pacquiao, is doubtless an outstanding example of this. The 8 boxing titles he won in 8 different weight divisions will perhaps never be surpassed in the history of boxing. Did he achieve it in one fight? Did he achieve it in one day? He worked for many years. Manny was practicing and boxing for 10 years before he ever gained any title. We also look to our compatriots in the United States who are making it to the global stage as accomplished theater and cinema actors and actresses. We have our world-renowned performances in the field of music. It is widely recognized that Filipino singing talent has become so ubiquitous that contest judges now assume that any winner has Filipino blood. But again, even they, despite the fact that we only see them in their one evening or their one great performance, at the back of that were years of hard work, years of perseverance, years of practice, heartache, and sacrifice. I have taken the time to talk about these great achievers and the qualities that have enabled them to make them great, because they are undisputed in the products of our country and our culture and the values that we live by. And there are even many more achievements in the fields of science and academia that, to mention, we would be here for far too long. But our country, we must remember, is a community of shared values. Throughout our history, our nation has always been carried forward by our people and our values and led by our forebears and our heroes. We have risen many times from the greatest trials and adversities by caring for one another, not simply for ourselves. We have succeeded by holding on with tenacity and fortitude and persistence to our deep faith in ourselves, in our communities, in our country, and all that we believe to be true. My dear graduates, this century is your century. This is your time. And it is now time to serve. It is now time, and it is now your turn to shine in what is still a wonderful and beautiful world. Soon you will have your own careers, some in the private sector and even some in government, even in politics like myself. Soon you will be parents, raising children who are gifted, talented, and brilliant. As you move on, you will have to make your own choices and commitments in your respective professions and careers. As it was for other generations before you, it now falls on you to meet the challenges of passing on a better country to those who will come after you. And so you must seize the moment. We cannot stand back and wait, for it is only a moment that we are given, and we must take advantage of that moment as best as we can. My dear graduates, I sincerely hope and pray that you will carry the torch proudly, with honor, with pride and dignity, the torch that we will pass on to you. But after all, you are a Filipino, a child of the world, a product of creation. So go forth and face that world. Your time has come. A special word to our beloved parents. My deepest admiration and highest respect for their indefatigable determination, unwavering commitment, and the sacrifice that you have made in the pursuit of your proper upbringing and successful education. So as you receive your hard-earned diploma today, spare a thought for the sacrifices and the hardships that your parents went through to make this day possible. Once again, congratulations for taking and claiming this rite of passage. Congratulations to you and welcome to your new life. Maraming salamat at mabuhay.